teachers are expected to self-screen. Joining us right now for his opinion on all of this, we've got Dr. Raywat Deonandan, an epidemiologist and science communicator at the University of Ottawa. Hello, welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Is that safe enough to tell parents it's up to you to screen your kids, and teachers it's up to you to stay home if you're sick?
No, I think it puts too much responsibility on the part of people who aren't trained in public health. I'd like to see a lot more downloading of responsibility onto people who actually can handle it, do their training, and also more training for teachers. So imagine if you're a teacher in a classroom and some kid is showing symptoms, you're supposed to observe that child and then report to public health. But in the meantime, you're probably panicking. So I didn't see anything in the guidelines around what kind of training and support teachers and principals are going to get. So it's a good first draft. I'm hoping there's more coming.
Who could screen them adequately?
Public health nurses. Now, that's not to say that there isn't a role to be played by parents, absolutely, but it has to be coordinated and comprehensive. And so what really concerns me, though, in the entire plan is there isn't a whole lot put into communication. There has to be, in addition to telling parents and the community that a case has been detected, there has to be a follow-up. And this is what we've done about that case to put people's fears at ease. So a better communication strategy needs to be put in place, and a better educational component for teachers and principals and parents from public health about how to detect misinformation, how to actually discern a symptom from a non-symptom, and how to actually respond when the cases occur. Overall, though, at least there's some guidelines about what to do when a case is detected, and that was one of the things I was looking for. So that process has begun, but it could be better.
Students with symptoms will not be required to get a COVID-19 test to return to the classroom. They just have to be symptom-free for 24 hours. How are you feeling about that?
There are a lot of shoulds and not a lot of shalls in the document, and I prefer to be a lot more musts and shalls, right? So I understand why that is. A lot of people aren't comfortable getting tested, but if you're not going to be tested and you're likely exposed, there should be a little more stringent approach to what happens to you then. You should be removed from your classmates for a significant period and then followed up with significant more observation. It's possible to be asymptomatic and still be a carrier, and that's what we have to be on guard for. So I would prefer it if there is a more vocal encouragement for testing of exposed people.
Mm-hmm. What about the students that have to take buses to school? Are you satisfied with the safety plan for them?
To some extent. You do what you have to do, right? So it would be great if there were reserved seating, and I think that is the case for a lot of school boards. So kids are encouraged to sit in the same seat all the time. They're going to be exposed by the same neighbors all the time, hopefully the same kids that they will see in school. And there's mandatory mask wearing, I think, in most school buses. I could be wrong about that. But we could do better. We could have more school buses and fewer people in the buses. And I didn't see a whole lot around what happens about waiting to get on the bus. So will there be adult oversight to prevent clustering around the shelters and the bus stop areas? Okay,
I want to ask you about Lyra Evans and her motion that did not go through yesterday. She had moved that all kids at the Ottawa Carleton District School Board, from kindergarten to grade 12, they all wear masks. In the end, they said, we really have no teeth requiring kids in kindergarten to grade 3 to wear them. So instead of telling them that they have to wear them, we'll ask them. We will suggest it. It is encouraged. What do you think about that language?
It's unfortunate. Now, we're relying a lot on people being good citizens. And ordinarily, I'm a big fan of relying upon the proper behavior of people in a liberal society. But what we've learned through this pandemic is a significant proportion of the population cannot be counted on to behave responsibly. So I don't anticipate a lot of uptake of masks for children. It would be great if it was mandatory, with the caveat that you tolerate people who cannot do it well. So kids, they can fidget, they can pull it down their chins occasionally. It doesn't have to be perfect. And the pushback around the mask wearing has been, well, kids won't do it properly. It doesn't matter. Let them do it improperly, but make it mandatory.
The federal government is giving provinces $2 billion, and it says it's up to you how you use it. You can use it to make sure that the kids can go back to school in the fall safely. Anything from PPE to hand sanitizer. How do you think the money should be spent?
Oh, I've got some ideas on this.
All right, go ahead.
The bulk of it has to be spent on reducing class size. That means hiring more teachers, so that was a better student-to-teacher ratio. We could spend it on improving HVAC systems, because that's an investment that will pay dividends for decades. We shouldn't spend it on deep cleaning. I think that's mostly hygiene theater. That doesn't accomplish a whole lot. It's a little bit of advantage, but not a lot. We should spend it on HR, a lot of hiring to make sure we have the admin support to manage the staggered hours, so we have more adults present to manage the flow of kids in schools and to manage those clustering areas like the recess play areas and the bus stops and places like that. But most importantly, spend as much as you can on reducing class size, and that will be the most expensive thing too. So remember, the most important way to keep kids safe is to enforce the physical distancing. And if you can't do that, then you put barriers in place, and those barriers are masks or actual plexiglass barriers, and that costs money.
So, sorry, explain to me where the barriers would actually be going.
Oh, well, barriers are just something between you and somebody else. It could be a mask, it could be a face shield, or it could be a plexiglass wall between desks.
Oh.
As we have in parts of Asia.
Interesting. All right, Dr. Deonandan, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Dr. Raywat Deonandan, friend of the show, epidemiologist and science communicator at the University of Ottawa.